Before we start, I want to say that only 1% of you are subscribed. Please subscribe because when we reach 1,000 subscribers, I will post a special video for you. Tom adjusted the collar of his uniform as the shuttle docked at the intergalactic trade station. As the doors slid open with a hiss, a cacophony of alien languages filled the air, a testament to the station's role as a melting pot for the galaxy's myriad cultures. He stepped out into the bustling main concourse, his eyes taking in the colorful tapestry of beings from every imaginable corner of the universe. Among them, a figure stood out, a tall, slender woman with shimmering skin that seemed to reflect the station's ambient light. Her presence was captivating, drawing surreptitious glances from passers-by. "Never seen anything quite like her, huh?" remarked a voice at Tom's side. He turned to see his old friend and colleague Marcus, who had been assigned to the same diplomatic mission. "No, I haven't," Tom admitted, watching as the alien woman maintained a poised isolation despite the attention. "Do you know who she is?" Marcus followed his gaze, his face lighting up with recognition. "Ah, that's Elira. She's from Velara. Their species is known for their aesthetic beauty, and well, they're pretty reclusive. Rare to see them out in the central hubs like this." Tom's interest deepened. "Has anyone tried talking to her? She seems isolated. With a Valerian?" "Good luck," Marcus chuckled. "They're not exactly fond of mingling. But hey, it's a free station." Tom smiled, an idea forming in his mind. What about a friendly diplomatic gesture? I could introduce myself, extend a hand of friendship on behalf of humanity. Marcus raised an eyebrow, amused. "That's bold, Tom. But sure, why not? Worst case, she ignores you, and you join the club of the hundreds who've probably tried." With a deep breath, Tom approached Elira, his heart pacing but his face calm. As he drew closer, her vivid eyes flickered towards him, a hint of surprise crossing her delicate features. "Hello," Tom started, stopping a respectful distance away. "I'm Tom from Earth. I couldn't help but notice you standing here all by yourself. If you'd like some company, maybe I could show you around the station. There's a great spot that overlooks the Andromeda Vista." Elira regarded him quietly for a moment, her gaze piercing yet not unwelcoming. "I am Elira," she finally said, her voice melodic and smooth. "Your offer is unusual, human. Why would you extend such an invitation to someone you do not know?" "It's part of what makes us human," Tom replied with a smile. "We thrive on making connections, learning about others. Plus, I believe that building bridges between cultures can start with simple acts of kindness." Elira's lips twitched in a semblance of a smile, almost imperceptible. "Very well, Tom of Earth. I accept your offer. Lead the way." Tom gestured towards the main corridor, and they started walking. Marcus watched them go, shaking his head in disbelief before merging back into the flow of the crowd. "So, Elira of Velara," Tom began, eager to break the ice. "What brings you to a bustling place like this?" "I am here to observe," she answered, her eyes scanning the environment with an artist's precision. "Velara is beautiful, but solitary. We seldom travel unless necessary. I find this diversity intriguing. It's one of the things I love about this job," Tom shared. "Getting to see the universe, the cultures, the differences and similarities. It's endlessly fascinating." Elira nodded slowly, seemingly warming to the conversation. "And does your fascination often lead you to approach strangers?" "Only the interesting ones," Tom replied, grinning. As they continued through the station, heading towards the vista, the initial awkwardness faded, replaced by a budding curiosity about each other's worlds, a curiosity that promised deeper discussions and perhaps a new and unlikely friendship. Tom and Elira arrived at the observation deck, which offered a breathtaking view of the swirling gases of a nearby nebula. The vibrant colors painted a stark contrast against the deep black of space. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" Tom asked, watching Elira's reaction to the cosmic spectacle. "Yes, it has a soothing chaos to it," Elira responded, her eyes reflecting the nebula's luminescence. As they shared the moment, another figure approached them. It was Javier, a fellow human diplomat known for his outgoing personality and keen interest in extraterrestrial cultures. "Tom, I was hoping I'd find you here," Javier said with a wide smile. "And you must be the famous Elira from Velara." "I'm Javier." Elira nodded slightly, her expression calm. "I am." "You are well-informed, Javier of Earth." Javier laughed, his demeanor easing any lingering tension. "We try to be. It's not every day we get to meet someone from Velara." Tom, you're making friends in high places. Tom chuckled. I'm just lucky she agreed to tour the station with me. Speaking of which, we were about to grab some refreshments. Care to join us, Javier? Wouldn't miss it, Javier replied. Lead the way. The trio made their way to a nearby lounge known for its wide selection of beverages from across the galaxy. As they settled into a quiet corner with their drinks, Javier was quick to spark up a conversation. So, Elira, what's your impression of our little melting pot here in the galaxy? He asked. It is diverse, Elira said, choosing her words carefully. Each species brings its own light to the darkness of space, much like the stars themselves. That's a beautiful way to put it, Javier remarked. And speaking of diversity, Tom here is somewhat of a collector of stories from every corner of the cosmos. Tom, why don't you share that tale from the Orion Belt? Tom grinned, recalling the adventure. Ah, yes. Well, it involved a miscommunication, a space pirate, and a cargo of what turned out to be highly explosive starfruit. As Tom recounted his tale, complete with dramatic gestures and the occasional laugh from Javier, Elira listened intently. It was clear that the narrative, full of strange coincidences and interstellar mishaps, intrigued her. I find your ability to find humor in danger quite fascinating, Elira said once Tom had finished. In Valara, our stories tend to be more contemplative. That's the beauty of sharing stories, Javier interjected. They reveal so much about our cultures. What about you, Elira? Any tales from Valara you care to share? Elira paused, her gaze drifting back to the nebula outside the window. There is one, she began slowly. It is about a Valerian artist who dared to paint the stars themselves. Her quest led her to the edge of our world, where she could touch the sky. As Elira spun her tale, her voice took on a melodic quality that captivated both Tom and Javier. Her story was not only a narrative but a piece of her heritage, filled with emotion and a profound sense of beauty. When she concluded, the men were silent for a moment, lost in the vivid imagery she had created. Your stories are as beautiful as your nebulae, Tom finally said. Thank you for sharing that, Elira. It was my pleasure, she replied, a hint of warmth in her voice. The conversation flowed effortlessly after that, the earlier awkwardness forgotten as they explored topics from galactic politics to personal hobbies. Javier and Tom worked well together, their camaraderie and humor providing a bridge for Elira to feel more comfortable in this foreign environment. As they parted ways later, Tom felt a sense of accomplishment. Not only had he managed to connect with someone from a notoriously private species, but he had also deepened his friendship with Javier and learned more about the rich tapestry of the galaxy's cultures. Today was a good day, Tom thought to himself as he watched Elira disappear into the crowd, her silhouette a part of the station's diverse tapestry. After their initial meetings, Tom arranged for another encounter with Elira, this time planning a more extensive tour of the station's various landmarks. He was joined unexpectedly by a colleague, Raj, whose expertise in xenobiology could provide deeper insights into the station's diverse ecosystems. Good morning, Elira. I hope you're finding the station more familiar now, Tom greeted, as they met near a botanical garden designed to mimic environments from different planets. Good morning, Tom, Elira responded, a slight smile gracing her features. I am indeed finding it intriguing. This is Raj, Tom introduced. He's our station's xenobiology expert. I thought you might enjoy the insights he can offer on the gardens we're about to see. Pleased to meet you, Raj said, extending his hand, then quickly pulling back, remembering the reserved nature of Valerian greetings. I'm looking forward to sharing what I know about these ecosystems. Elira nodded her acceptance. I appreciate your thoughtfulness, Tom. Shall we proceed? As they walked through the expansive gardens, Raj took the lead, describing the unique flora and fauna adapted to the simulated environments. This section mimics the acidic swamps of Zeltron 5. See how the plants have evolved thick, waxy coatings to protect against acid burns. Elira listened intently, occasionally asking pointed questions that revealed her deep appreciation for the sciences. Is it true that these plants can also detoxify the soil, making it habitable for other life forms? She inquired. Exactly, Raj confirmed, impressed. Their root systems break down toxic substances and enrich the soil. It's a remarkable adaptation. The conversation turned to the technology behind creating such diverse biomes on a space station. Tom, keen to keep the dialogue engaging, steered the topic toward the engineering marvels they were witnessing. You know, the station's life support systems are a feat of engineering by themselves, Tom explained. They not only recycle air and water, but also help maintain these biomes, each with its own climate control. Elira's curiosity piqued. The balance must be very delicate. It's akin to conducting an orchestra where each instrument must harmonize perfectly with the others. That's a beautiful analogy, Raj agreed. It does feel like conducting an orchestra at times. Their path led them next to a serene aquatic environment, designed to mimic the oceanic vistas of Aquarian Prime. As they stood watching the gentle ebb and flow of the artificial tide, Tom noticed Elira's contemplative expression. "You seem drawn to the water," Tom observed. "On Valara, water is scarce," she explained. "Our artists often depict it as the lifeblood of creativity, ever elusive and deeply cherished. I can arrange for a closer examination of this biome, if you're interested," Raj offered, eager to accommodate their guests' interests. "I would like that very much," Elira accepted, her usual reserve softened by the offer. As they concluded their tour, the trio found themselves at a quiet observation area overlooking the station's central hub. The hustle and bustle of species from across the galaxy provided a stark contrast to the peaceful nature of the gardens they had just left. "It's fascinating," Elira remarked, "how life thrives in all forms, adapting to even the most artificial of environments. It's one of the things that brings us all together, out here in the void of space," Tom added. "The shared mission to create and sustain life in all its forms." Raj nodded in agreement. "It's a reminder of how interconnected everything is, regardless of origin." As they parted ways, Tom felt a growing sense of camaraderie not only with Elira, but also with Raj, whose presence had enriched the day's exploration. Their shared experiences underscored a fundamental truth of their work in space. Despite the vastness of the cosmos, connections could be formed in the smallest of spaces, bridging worlds with words and wonder. Tom and Elira's budding friendship had given rise to frequent, informal meetings around a station, blending work with cultural exchanges. Today, they were joined by Henrik, the station's historian and archivist, known for his deep knowledge of galactic history and keen interest in the culinary traditions of different species. As they entered the station's renowned intergalactic cuisine hall, Henrik greeted them warmly. "Tom, Elira, great to see you both. Ready to embark on a gastronomic journey?" "Definitely," Tom replied with enthusiasm. "Elira, Henrik here is not just a historian, but also quite the food connoisseur. He thought you might enjoy sampling some dishes from around the galaxy." Elira, intrigued by the promise of new experiences, nodded. "That sounds delightful. I'm eager to learn how different cultures express themselves through their cuisine." The trio settled at a table Henrik had reserved, strategically placed to provide a panoramic view of the hall's bustling activity. As servers brought the first dishes, Henrik began to elaborate on each one's cultural and historical significance. "This dish," Henrik started, pointing to a steaming platter of spiced meats and grains, "comes from the agrarian moons of Salder. It's traditionally eaten at the end of their harvest season to celebrate the bounty of the moons." Elira tasted the dish thoughtfully. "The spices are quite robust. It speaks to a culture that values strength, perhaps?" "Exactly," Henrik affirmed, pleased with her insight. "Saldorians are known for their physical resilience and their equally strong communal ties." Next came a dish from a water-rich planet, featuring an array of seafood arranged artistically around a central dipping sauce. "This is from Aquarian Prime, much like the biome we visited," Tom explained. "Their food is as fluid and elegant as their environment." Elira's expression brightened as she tried the seafood. "It's very refined. The flavors are harmonious, subtle, but very present." As the meal progressed, the conversation veered from culinary arts to other cultural expressions like music, art, and dance. Tom and Henrik shared anecdotes from their travels, while Elira offered insights into Valerian art forms, particularly their intricate dance rituals, which were as much about storytelling as they were about movement. Henrik, ever the scholar, was fascinated. "It's interesting, isn't it, how dance can be a language all its own? On many worlds, dance communicates things words cannot." "Indeed," Elira agreed. "On Valara, each movement represents a part of our history, our philosophy. It is both a personal expression and a communal one." Their meal concluded with a dessert sampler featuring sweets from across the cosmos. Henrik explained the origins of each, from the frothy, cloud-like confections of Nebulan 7 to the dense, rich cakes of the mining colonies on asteroid T-33. Trying these, one realizes how diverse the universe is, and yet how similar our pleasures are. "Everyone enjoys a good dessert," Henrik joked, eliciting laughter from the group. As they left the cuisine hall, Tom felt a profound appreciation for the diversity of galactic life. Today was more than just a meal. It was a lesson in cultural appreciation, he commented. Yes, it was enlightening, Elira added, her usual reserve softened by the shared experience. I am grateful for the company and the conversation. Henrik smiled, pleased with the success of the evening. The pleasure was all ours. It's not every day we get to introduce someone to the flavors of the galaxy. As they parted ways, Tom and Elira continued their walk through the station, discussing the day's discoveries. It was clear that each meeting deepened their understanding not only of each other's worlds, but also of the vast, varied tapestry that was the universe itself. The station's night cycle had begun, casting soft, artificial moonlight through the expansive windows of the central lounge. Tom, feeling more at ease with Elira than ever, decided it was the perfect time to extend an invitation that was a bit more personal. Elira, I've been thinking, Tom began as they strolled through one of the quieter sections of the station. You've seen a lot of the public spaces here, but I have a collection of art from Earth in my quarters. I'd like to show it to you if you're interested. Elira considered the offer, her expression unreadable for a moment before she nodded. I would like that, Tom. Your world fascinates me, and seeing it through your eyes, particularly through art, would be enlightening. Great. Let's head there now if you're free, Tom suggested, relieved by her acceptance and eager to share another piece of his culture. As they walked to his quarters, they were joined unexpectedly by Lucas, another diplomat and a good friend of Tom's, who was known for his interest in interstellar architecture. Evening, Tom, Elira, Lucas greeted them warmly. Heading off somewhere interesting. To Tom's quarters, actually, Elira replied. He has offered to show me some Terran art. Mind if I tag along? Lucas asked, his interest piqued. I've always admired your collection, Tom. Plus, I just picked up a digital model of ancient Martian architecture. I'd love to show it to both of you. Of course, the more the merrier, Tom said, and they continued together. Once inside Tom's quarters, Lucas quickly set up the holographic display, while Tom led Elira to a wall displaying several framed pieces of Earth art, landscapes, abstracts, and some classical portraits. This piece here, Tom pointed to a vibrant landscape, is by an artist who was famous for his use of color to express emotions. I find it calming, especially out here. Elira leaned in closer, her eyes tracing the swirls of paint. The colors are indeed very vibrant. On Valara, we use more subdued tones. It's like feeling a strong emotion made visible. Lucas joined them, activating the hologram projector. And for something completely different, he announced as the image of an ancient Martian cityscape sprang to life in the middle of the room. This is believed to be one of the first planned cities on Mars, designed for both functionality and aesthetics. The trio spent the next hour discussing the similarities and differences in artistic and architectural styles across their respective cultures. Tom was impressed by Elira's keen observations and the depth of her knowledge, while Lucas provided a humorous yet insightful commentary that kept the atmosphere light and engaging. As the evening wound down, Lucas excused himself, leaving Tom and Elira alone. I'm really glad you came tonight, Tom said sincerely. It means a lot to me to be able to share this part of my life with someone who appreciates it. Elira smiled, a genuine warmth in her eyes. I'm equally glad, Tom. Your world, as seen through its art, is more beautiful and complex than I had imagined. And this evening has been most enjoyable. They stood together for a moment, looking at the art, then at the cityscape still flickering in the hologram. Would you like to stay a bit longer? Tom asked tentatively. There's more to see, and I'd love to tell you about it. Elira's response was soft but affirmative. Yes, I would like that very much. The evening stretched out pleasantly as they explored more pieces in Tom's collection, each artwork sparking new conversations about Earth, Valara, and the unexpected intersections of their worlds. It was clear that what had started as a simple act of cultural exchange was blossoming into something richer, a deep mutual understanding and respect that neither had anticipated. The hours passed unnoticed as Tom and Elira delved deeper into discussions about Earth and Valara. The night outside had deepened, and the station's lights dimmed to mimic the quiet of late evening, creating a cozy ambience in Tom's quarters. Sensing the moment was right, Tom hesitated, then spoke softly. Elira, I've never met anyone like you, he confessed. Our conversations, they've been a highlight of my time on the station. Elira turned to face him, her expression contemplative. And you, she replied. You have shown me facets of humanity I had not expected to see. It is refreshing. There was a pause, filled with unspoken thoughts. Finally, Tom reached out his hand tentatively. Elira looked at it, then slowly placed her own hand in his, a gesture of trust and mutual respect. "May I?" Tom asked gently, his other hand reaching up to brush a lock of hair from her face. Elira nodded, her breath catching slightly as Tom's fingers gently traced the line of her jaw. Their eyes locked, and for a moment, the universe seemed to pause around them. Slowly, Tom leaned in, his movements deliberate, giving Elira every chance to pull away. But she didn't. Instead, she met him halfway, their lips touching softly in a kiss that spoke of curiosity, respect, and a burgeoning desire. The initial contact was light, exploratory. As Elira responded, the kiss deepened, their mutual restraint giving way to a more profound connection. Tom's hand moved to her back, drawing her closer, while Elira's arms tentatively wrapped around his neck. When they finally broke apart, they were both breathless. "I didn't mean to overstep," Tom murmured, concerned about rushing things. "You didn't," Elira assured him, her voice a whisper. "I was hoping you would." Encouraged, Tom kissed her again, this time with more confidence. Elira matched his passion, her hands exploring the lines of his back, learning the texture of his shirt, the firmness beneath. The world narrowed down to the space between them, to the soft sounds of their breathing and the quiet hum of the station. Eventually, they moved towards the couch, not wanting to end the connection, but seeking comfort in a less formal space. As they sat, Elira's head rested against Tom's shoulder. "This is new for me," she admitted. "Valerians do not usually express emotions so openly. Nor do humans sometimes," Tom chuckled softly. "But with you it feels right." They spent the rest of the night talking in hushed tones, sharing more personal stories. Tom talked about his family back on Earth, his dreams of seeing more of the galaxy. Elira spoke of her artistic aspirations, her hopes for her people, and the solitude that often accompanied her role as a diplomat. As dawn approached, signaled by the gradual brightening of the station's lighting, they found themselves reluctant to part. "Stay with me," Tom whispered, not as a demand but as a wish shared between them. Elira smiled, her eyes reflecting not just the station's artificial light but the new emotion stirring within her. "Yes, I will stay." The decision marked a significant shift in their relationship, moving from friendship and mutual curiosity to something deeper, more intimate. It was a night of many firsts, the first kiss, the first shared secrets, the first promise of a tomorrow together. As Elira finally drifted to sleep in Tom's arms, it was with a sense of peace and a newfound connection that promised more than either had anticipated. Morning brought with it the soft artificial sunrise of the station and the return to routine. Tom and Elira had breakfast in his quarters, their conversation more subdued than the night before, weighed by the unspoken questions about what this new relationship meant for them both. "Last night was unexpected," Tom began, breaking the silence as he passed Elira a cup of coffee. "But I wouldn't change a thing." Elira smiled, her hand hesitating over the cup. "Neither would I, Tom. It feels like a new beginning." As they were clearing away the breakfast dishes, there was a knock at the door. Tom answered it to find Marcus, looking unusually serious. "Tom, we need to talk," Marcus said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. His gaze shifted to Elira, acknowledging her with a nod. "Morning, Elira." "Sorry to intrude. What's going on?" Tom asked, sensing the urgency in his friend's demeanor. "It's about you and Elira," Marcus began, his tone cautious. "Word has gotten out about your relationship. It's stirring up quite a bit of talk among the delegations." Elira set down her cup, her expression tightening. "Is our association forbidden?" "No, not forbidden," Marcus replied quickly. "But you know how delicate diplomatic relations can be. Some are questioning the propriety of it, given the tensions between different species' ideologies on relationships." Tom frowned, his protective instincts flaring up. "We're not doing anything wrong, Marcus. I know that, and you know that," Marcus said, placing a hand on Tom's shoulder. "But not everyone sees it that way. There's talk of formal inquiries, possibly even calls for reassignment." Elira stood, her posture regal, yet clearly agitated. "This is why Valerians avoid such entanglements. I should have considered the repercussions." "No," Tom said firmly, taking her hand. "We'll face this together." The three of them sat down to discuss their options. Marcus, ever the strategist, proposed a public statement to the assembly, clarifying their position and asserting their rights under station law to associate freely. "I can help draft it," Marcus offered. "A statement that respects both your dignities and emphasizes mutual respect and cultural exchange." Elira considered this, then nodded. We must be transparent and respectful. Is the only way to counteract any misunderstandings. Tom squeezed her hand, grateful for her strength. Let's do it. We'll show them that what we have is about more than just personal feelings. It's about building bridges. Over the next few days, Tom, Elira, and Marcus worked together to craft their message, consulting with legal advisors and other diplomats to ensure it would be received as intended. When the time came to address the assembly, Tom and Elira stood side by side, presenting their case with dignity and conviction. Esteemed colleagues, Tom began, his voice steady despite the sea of faces before him. Our association is one founded on mutual respect and a shared commitment to understanding and peace among all species. Elira took over seamlessly. It is our hope that our personal relationship will serve as a testament to the possibility of harmony and mutual respect, even among those from different worlds. Their speech was met with mixed reactions. Some delegates nodded in agreement, while others whispered among themselves, skeptical. But no one could deny the sincerity and eloquence with which they presented their case. After the assembly, as they walked back to Tom's quarters, Elira leaned into Tom slightly, a gesture of both affection and solidarity. Whatever comes, she whispered, I'm glad to have stood there with you. And I with you, Tom replied, knowing that while challenges lay ahead, they had taken an important step together, not just for themselves, but potentially for interspecies relations throughout the station. As they entered his quarters, closing the door on the station's buzzing corridors, they were greeted by the calm that now symbolized their shared space, a sanctuary from the storm brewing outside. Here, they could face anything, as long as they were together. The station's annual gala was always a spectacle of lights and colors, a celebration of the unity and diversity that defined the interstellar community. For Tom and Elira, tonight's event was more significant than ever. It was their first public appearance since they had presented their case before the assembly. As they prepared in Tom's quarters, Elira turned to him, her expression a mix of nervousness and excitement. Tom, do you think they will accept us after tonight? Tom adjusted his tie, meeting her gaze in the mirror. They will see us together, happy and united. It's a powerful statement, Elira. We just have to be ourselves. The couple arrived at the gala to a murmur of anticipation. Their recent speech had rippled through the community, and all eyes were on them as they entered the grand hall. Tom felt Elira's hand tighten around his, and he gave her a reassuring smile. As they made their way through the crowd, they were approached by Henrik, who was beaming at them. Tom, Elira, you both look splendid. It's good to see you standing strong together. Thank you, Henrik, Elira responded, her voice steady. It means a lot to have your support. The evening progressed with dinner and dances, and gradually, the atmosphere lightened. Several diplomats and station officials approached Tom and Elira, some out of curiosity, others to offer words of encouragement and support. During a slow dance, Tom whispered to Elira, See? It's not all bad. People are coming around. Elira rested her head against his shoulder. I'm beginning to see that, yes. Your world, this blend of cultures, it's more accepting than I anticipated. Later in the evening, the gala's host called for attention. Ladies and gentlemen, if I could have a few moments. We have among us tonight two very brave individuals who have recently reminded us of the values this station stands for: unity, respect, and the sharing of diverse cultures. The room fell silent as all eyes turned to Tom and Elira. The host continued, I invite them to speak, to share with us their journey. Tom led Elira to the podium, his heart swelling with pride. Facing the crowd, he began, Thank you. When I first met Elira, I was struck by her grace and wisdom. Our journey has not been without its challenges, but it has been a journey of learning and growth. Elira took over, her voice clear and resonant. Tom was the only human who dared to ask me out, she said, echoing the phrase that had started it all. In doing so, he opened a door between our worlds that many thought sealed. Together, we hope to prove that love and friendship know no boundaries. The audience responded with applause, some standing, moved by their sincerity and courage. The evening ended on a high note, with many coming forward to speak to them, asking questions about Valara and Earth, and how their cultures could learn from one another. As the gala came to a close, Tom and Elira walked back to his quarters, hand in hand, under the starlit simulated sky of the station. Whatever comes next, we face it together, right? Tom asked, stopping to face her. Right, Elira agreed, her smile bright under the starlight. Together, back in his quarters, as they looked out at the view of the cosmos, Elira leaned into Tom, her presence a gentle affirmation of their shared future. To think this all started because you dared to ask, she mused. And I'd do it again, Tom replied, wrapping his arm around her. In a heartbeat, the station orbited quietly through space, a tiny speck in the vast galaxy. But for Tom and Elira, it was their world, a place where they had found love and a future, united in their differences and stronger for them.